Good evening and welcome. And thank you for coming in profusion to our annual general meeting. Of course, you aren't here really for the annual general meeting. You're here for our guest speaker, David Sheppard, who's in our midst over there, who will be talking to us once we've got through the grisly bits, as it were, the formal bits anyway. So thanks to Alex. You all know Alex. Alex Young is our great filmmaker. He's been responsible for getting our message across the world through YouTube. And we have people watching us in many continents as a consequence of his efforts. But he has been excelling himself tonight in bringing the technology to bear on the subject so that our AGM, for the first time, I think, is being recorded so that it can be available to all the other members who aren't here tonight. So that, I think, will be greatly appreciated, actually. Not only do they get the AGM, but more interestingly, they get David later. So, you could say they get the AGM as well. But so ladies and gentlemen, if you're at home watching this after the event, that's absolutely super. But for those of us who are here tonight, a couple of things to mention. One is, if there's a fire alarm, beetle out through the door behind you, or through this one, and then out through the main entrance, and gather in the car park, far enough away from the falling embers not to be set fire to. If you need the loo, it's just round the corner, and everyone will know you've been in there if you wash your hands, because there's a tremendous racket from the blower dryer. So it's rather like going to the back of the coach on a Ribble motorway coach. We know where you're going. So anyway, but that's where all those things are. The structure of tonight is that we will have about half an hour AGM, and then we'll go straight into part one of David's presentation, and then there is a break when we will take the refreshments. And there was a moment about 45 minutes ago when Bob and Barbara were looking slightly worried that they weren't going to sell anything. And then I noticed there's only about 4 rolls left. So no problem there, is there? But so can we take this opportunity just to thank Bob and Barbara right now? Thank you. It's quite a big deal sorting out the catering for you lot, and we very much appreciate it. So thank you very much, and thank you, Barbara, back out in the wilds of the kitchen. I never know what happens in kitchens, you know, dangerous places. Anyway, I don't go there. Don't go there too often. Okay. Anyway, so such be it. So we're going to go straight into the AGM. And we'll go through it formally, and at the end of the actual AGM, we will have an opportunity for you to ask questions. There are no questions deposited on the agenda, so any discussion that we want to have will be after the formal conclusion of the meeting. So, but we won't go on too long for that, because we've got David gagging to get started. So, and when I walked into the hall a couple of hours ago, the sun was pouring through the windows back there, and I thought, how on earth are we going to get this dark enough? And then I remembered that winter's coming, and actually it's going to be jolly dark in half an hour's time, so you'll be all right, David, so that's okay.
Some windows have got...
They've got obscurity too, yes. I know how they feel. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the official AGM now. So now item 1 on the agenda is apologies. David.
It is indeed. So I have apologies for absence from Norman Aish, Ian Manning and Richard Kemble, and also proxy forms from Roland Graves, Peter Osborne, David Conway, Keith Morton, Jeremy Crumplin, Paul Newman, Martin West, B. Chivers, John Beer, Martin Smith, David Boxall, F.R. Hillier, Christopher Martin and P.S. Jackson. The proxy forms all nominate the chairman of the meeting as their proxy, and they have all voted in favour of all the resolutions.
Thank you very much, David. Item 2 on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from the 2023 AGM. These have already been circulated, and so you've had a chance to look at them. I would like someone to propose that we accept those minutes. Can I have somebody to do that? Right in the back there's Joe. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, full name was?
Full name, Joe?
As in Joanna or as in Drew?
Drew will do. and can we have a seconder from somewhere, please? Oh yes, a nice chap called Jeff Streeter. Yeah, he's come all the way from northeast Lincolnshire, or is that right? Yes, to be with us tonight. So thank you very much for that.
So if you'd like to sign the
Right.
minutes.
So I'm going to sign them. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you. Okay, on we go then. So item 3 is the Chairman and Trustees reports. I'm not proposing to go through my report already deposited for the reason that you've had the chance to read it. It's been a busy year, that's for sure. Some things happening that we expected and hoped for, others that we very much did not hope for and certainly couldn't have expected. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a year, but I think it's worth saying that there's nothing ill in the world that does nobody any good, is there? And the terrible events around the Olympics fire have actually worked to help us in terms of lifting our profile and increasing our membership numbers. So it's a very ironic thing, isn't it, that such a destruction should actually have a small positive side. Anyway, enough of that. I'm now going to hand over to David for the last time. I'm going to be doing this tonight. And David, as Secretary, your report, please.
Right, well, my report has, as usual, been circulated, which covers most things. I think on this occasion it's worth me saying, first of all, thank you very much to all of you for your support over the last 11 years. And I felt that the time had come not to seek re-election, and I'll go through a few reasons for that in a minute. But it's certainly not due to any lack of interest in Friends of King Alfred buses or in the preservation movement, nor is it due to any particular ill health on my part, nor is there any sort of ill feeling within the organisation. So it's just a case of really finding a bit more time for other things. And let me say, first of all, the post is very time consuming, as I find myself reluctantly neglecting other areas of activity outside FOCAB. I'll be age 73 at my next birthday, which is in a few months' time. The end of a 3-year trustee term, I'll be nearly 76. These are ages when anyone ought seriously to consider stepping back from demanding commitments. I will have occupied the post for 11 years, which is a good long stint by anybody's standards, far longer than I will ever stay in a single post in a paid capacity. And furthermore, spending a lot of time at a keyboard and looking at a computer screen does seem to be having slight effects on my health. Nothing serious at the moment, but it's right to address that before it becomes anything more concerning. So there we are. I mean, it's been a roller coaster of an 11 years where you think about we've had various problems of buildings, particularly, finding places to keep the fleet. And then, of course, we had the Penton fire. We've also successfully become a charitable company limited by guarantee. We also created a new dormant company, which is King Alfred Motor Services Limited. The main purpose of doing that being to reserve the name of King Alfred Motor Services in case anybody else tried to register it, which in the past they did. So that's a bit of background. Once again, thank you very much for your friendly support, and I will very much still be around and still taking an interest, and will certainly help with handing over various responsibilities to their new owners in due course.
Thank you. Thank you, David, very much. Round of applause for David, I think.
Thank you very much.
It has been a very significant and lengthy period that you've been at the Secretary's desk. And in fact, tonight, the minutes of tonight's meeting will be the last that you produce, and the last sort of serious bit of writing that you have to do for us, I hope. So.
It will.
Yes, thank you for that. Right, what I'm going to suggest is that the reports that have been put before you in the paper sent round, that we simply accept those reports, and for that I would like, again, a proposer, and can I have a full name for the purposes of the minutes? Someone to propose, please? Thank you very much, Nigel Sandy. Sometimes I call him Sandy Nigel, but that's but that's just me. And a seconder, please. Dan Finnegan at the back. Dan, thank you, Dan, very much. Right, we're going to move on to item 4, which is the presentation of the accounts, for which purpose we have the treasurer in place. So, Stephen Bigley, over to you.
Okay, thank you, James. Well, again, the account and the commentary on the accounts, the Treasurer's reports, have both been circulated electronically or in hard copy, and I wasn't going to say anything more about them unless anybody's got any questions. Somebody over there?
So actually, could I just ask one very quick question about the company limited by guarantee? Presumably the trustees have had to sign up for a small guarantee of some sort, have they? Where I worked for one before, all of the trustees had to agree to pay £10 if need be. Presumably there's some sort of guarantee you've had to sign up.
It's not us, it's you lot, plus the rest of the membership who've signed up to that £10 guarantee, including us, of course, as members. So,
before you signed, Joe.
Yes, well, I was checking that it is all of us.
It's all of you, plus the ones who aren't here. Yeah, you're...
It's a total membership of 217 people, I think, that we have at the moment.
Yeah, so...
Trustees and everybody else.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you.
We're not proposing to go out of business, by the way, but... Good. Any other questions for the treasurer? Right. In that case, anything else from you, Stephen?
No, nothing.
Then please, can we have, you know the drill now, folks, can we have a proposer, please? Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. There you go.
What was that again?
Hurst. Right, and a seconder, please. And Anthony Hammersley. Thank you very much, everybody. On we go. Okay, the membership report. Now, Keith has deposited the report. I'm not proposing to get you to propose it, but is there anything you want to say about it, Keith?
This is the first year in which we've had an increase in members, and in fact since May we've had even more new members. So although obviously some people have resigned and a couple died and so on, we are at the moment on the up. Whether that's the effect of 708 or whatever, who knows?
Thank you. Yes. Well, that's all good news, isn't it? So again, can we have a proposer for the membership report, please? Thank you very much. Young man on the left there, David Shadbolt, and seconded by Philip Eden. And a pigeon. But, yes, very, very in. Right. And the next item, ladies and gentlemen, is the sales report. Again, you've had it circulated, so you've been able to read it. Keith, anything you want to say? I would just like to lead into this by saying that, as you will have read, Keith and Ruth, who've been working our sales function for such a long time, I can't really remember when they didn't. I mean, it's 1991 or something that they started. Well, it is a long time ago, and in the life of FOCAB, it's only 4 years after the beginning in I can't do my sums, but anyway, 6 years, but it's 1985. Yes, so it's a good long while. Anyway, they've been doing that work all this time, and the amount of money that they must have raised over those years must be an enormous quantity. We've not tried to count it up, but it would be rather interesting to do that, wouldn't it? But anyway, I think they've done a fantastic job through wet and dry, good and bad, and finally the time has come to pass the baton on, but we do say a huge, on behalf of everybody, members today, members past, thank you so much for all of that effort. And you at last don't have to move that stand and all the stuff in and out of this place and that place and suitable or unsuitable, whatever it is. So thank you very much indeed, and a big round of applause, please, for them. And as on the back of that, Keith, is there anything that you would like to say in the context of your report?
Well, not especially, other than what I said, and I say we definitely qualify on the age basis to give up, right? Though, mind you, there was on another group, somebody wrote in, we tried to persuade him to join the committee, and he said no, he was stopping now. He was 76 and felt he'd had enough doing things, and we thought, all of us on that committee thought, we're all over that, so perhaps we should resign now.
No, well, anyway, thank you very much. So again, please, can we have, therefore, a proposer for the sales report? Right down here, we have Mr. Bob Smith. And a seconder. Oh yes, James Wake. Thank you very much, James. Right, excellent. Thank you, everybody, and thanks to Ruth and Keith for all of that effort over such a very long time. Okay, on we go to events. Dave Ledbury's here. He's a big traffic light, red he is, and so the events report has been circulated, and is there anything that we ought to add to it, Dave?
No, I don't think so. Only that we've covered every event again, and we seem to be up to pre-pandemic levels again on the events we're attending.
Yeah.
But we have covered every one.
But I think it's worth saying that we are struggling to get drivers and conductors. We've really struggled more recently. So it might be that some of our drivers who have joined more recently and who don't live locally might consider some of the local events. They are quite fun, but they do require somebody to come and drive all day. And it's the same as a running day in that sense. If you see these things coming through next year, perhaps you could give us a day of your time. It's great fun, but it always falls on a very few people, and it would be nice to share it out a bit, because sometimes it's tricky. So if that appeals, then that would be great. But anyway, thank you, and thank you, Dave, for organising everything. And again, then a proposer. I feel like President, what's his name? You know, fumbling voice. Biden. That's the one, isn't it? Not Trump. No. So can I have a proposer, please, for the events report? Chris Kent, and I'm going to take you as a seconder right back down there, Richard Aldous. Thank you very much indeed. Okay. Then we move on to the vehicle report, which is done by our engineering trustee. Where is he? He's down in the back somewhere. Oh yes, there he is. So again, the report has been submitted, and no doubt you've all read it and could submit yourselves to a test of what it has in it. What we have managed to do with Henry is get him to learn the list of our buses in sequential order now, because there are so many, it's quite a job to do. But anyway, again, the report has been put in front of you. Henry, is there anything you want to add?
I don't think so. It's all in there. I can't actually remember what I said now, but
I know the feeling. I think the thing that's most remarkable is that for a little group as we are keeping our complete fleet on the road all the time, and I think that's really important. Once the buses are left to stand, they'll rot away, and we don't do that. We run all our buses, or we try to. Doesn't always quite work out. And there are a few very important people who make all that happen, and we're really very, very lucky, I think, and our fleet is really in the best condition it's been for a long time, thanks to the routine we have. And we have Bob Smith doing a very comprehensive pre-MOT check, which drives an annual program, and of course with 16 vehicles we've actually got more than one a month in the cycle, but it's delivering the goods, I think. And okay, we're going into a running day tomorrow with a couple of buses out for one reason or another, but they're all because of parts, really. But overall, I think our fleet's in a wonderful position. So I'd like to say a huge tribute to everybody in this room and watching this later who's been involved in putting and keeping our fleet on the road. It is a tribute to you all that we do so well. And they're going out tomorrow, and yet another example of it. So thank you very much indeed. And can I please therefore have a, you know what I want? Melvin, thank you very much, a proposer, and a seconder, somebody. Right in the back, the William Stanleyford. Thank you, William. Brilliant, thank you. Okay, and now, can I still do this? Yes, I can. We have a resolution that the existing trustees in the form of Henry Pratt and Nick Richardson. Henry, we've just heard speak. Nick, give us a wave. There you are, that's good. Be re-elected as trustee. And here is the opportunity for any additional trustees that have been nominated to be elected. I have to say that no one has actually come forward by that route, but Henry and Nick are offering themselves to be re-elected. So I'm now, Mr. Secretary, can I propose that from the chair?
No, I think that Henry and Nick are.
Yes, can I propose it? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, well, I'm proposing it. Would somebody like to second it, please? Bob Smith, thank you very much. Right, bad luck, chaps. Henry and Nick, you're in. Now, item 10 is a bit more complicated because this is the election of the chairman and the secretary and the treasurer in accordance with clause 23.1. Now, I can't chair this, so for obvious reasons, and I'm going to hand over to David Morgan to do that. David, if that's all right with you. What the agenda papers say is that the existing officers, that's me and Stephen, have both indicated willingness to continue, which we have done. David, can I hand that over to you then?
Certainly. So we need a proposer that James Freeman be elected for the coming year as chairman of Thence Alfred buses.
There's a chap down here waved.
Bob Smith. And who wants to second it?
The young man in the middle.
Paul Gosling.
Paul Gosling. That's fine. Thank you very much. And I assume you're all in favour? Yes. Right, so I'm going to hand back to...
Thank you very much, David. Thank you for that, and thank you, everybody. And so we need to do the same for Stephen, who is coming back as a trustee. But I need to explain at this point that we are, of course, confronted with a considerable, what would be known in the trade as an opportunity. By David's decision to stand down at this time. And so we have come to the conclusion that you may think to yourselves, well, that's created a huge space, which it has done, and recruiting a secretary to our Board of Trustees is actually quite a tall order. Going from not being secretary to being secretary is a massive step. And so we have concluded that the way we're going to deal with this, and this we will talk about after the AGM, is that Stephen Bigley will in fact become the secretary, not the treasurer, but the secretary in the new post 15th of September, post 14th of September situation. And I'm very, very pleased about that because he has huge experience, legal and general, and that is going to mean that all the work of the Secretariat will switch across to somebody who really knows what's going on. So that's a very, very splendid development. And that will create a vacancy for a treasurer accountant, which is not simple to deal with, but is more straightforward to do the sums for the Friends of King Alfred buses than to be the secretary, frankly. So with a few alterations to the detail of how it all works, Stephen is therefore going to become the secretary. So what I'm asking you to do, folks, is for someone to propose that Stephen Bigley is re-elected to trust as secretary of Friends of King Alfred buses, and we need a seconder too. So is there someone out there who would be happy to do that? Yes, Jeff Streeter has indicated, and someone to second, please. Bob Smith. Thank you very much, Bob. So, gentlemen, David, thank you very much. Stephen, welcome to a new role. You have to do the old role for the moment as well, just in case you were wondering. So don't get too carried away. Now, item 11, ladies and gentlemen, is any other business that's been notified to the Secretary by the 26th of August, and the answer to that is that no other business has been notified. Thank you very much, everybody, for that. So at that point, I'm going to conclude the annual general meeting, thanking you for coming tonight. And it's now about 4 minutes to 8. Just before we move on to our guest speaker, and David, we are literally gagging to have you up here and to get on to the business of the night. It is sensible for me to tell you a few things that we're going to do, because the world is changing. You will have heard Keith and Ruth are stepping back from sales, and David is going to the back benches too, I suppose you could put it that way. And we have to reorganize to make that happen. So, as I've already mentioned, we are going to be looking for a treasurer accountant, very important part of our business. We have been enormously fortunate that Stephen has been a fantastic treasurer. He's been being treasurer since 2011. And the greatest attribute of anybody who's dealing with money is to be absolutely trustworthy. And we are very fortunate that in Stephen we have such a person. So we are looking now for someone to be our treasurer accountant who is similarly worthy and capable. And we're first of all going to be looking to the membership. There may be somebody out there, either in the room or out in the wider membership, who hasn't previously thought about getting involved in running the Friends of King Alfred buses. But the job of treasurer is largely one of accountancy and dealing with money. It isn't so much about the minutiae of the bus operation, but of course that comes with it. So we're looking for somebody, maybe a retired accountant or somebody out there who would like to do something. If we can't find them from within the membership, we'll go looking in the community for somebody. You know, there are lots of people in this part of the world well enough off not to have to work and who's still looking for something to do. So that's how we're going to deal with the treasurer role over the coming months. But for the first weeks and months, between Stephen and me, we're going to divvy up the whole of the work that has previously been done by 3 people. So that's that. Now, secondly, coming out of this, one of the things we've learned from David Morgan's experience is that the secretary's role has become too big and covers too much ground. So another vacancy that we see is that actually we need a minutes secretary, somebody to deal with the various trustee meetings and AGMs and so on, to take the minutes and to issue the agendas and do all that sort of thing. So that will be a vacancy as well, which we will be putting around. So if somebody would like to join us to do that, not as a trustee, don't have the responsibility, but attending the trust meetings in order to do the work that's needed. So that's an important thing. And then the trust going forward, obviously we are down a trustee at the moment because we've lost David and we have a vacancy. Now, we did not have anyone nominated through the process through the AGM, but I'm very delighted to tell you that there are 2 people who I'm happy to say would be in this room tonight, who would be prepared to become trustees. And we will be taking steps at the next trustees meeting to co-opt these 2 people, and they will be trustees, co-opted trustees for a year, and then they will come up for re-election at the next AGM a year from now. And those 2 people are Richard Alders, who's right at the back. Richard has become a very valued member of our engineering team, amongst other things, and is always there when you want him. And secondly, William Staniforth, whose fame goes before him, is the best connected person in the whole preservation movement, and I'm absolutely delighted that he has indicated a willingness to join our trust, and that is fantastic. And if you think about it, and we've not paid him any great wonders, have we? He's had 3 buses in our care. What do we do with them? Set fire to them. He had a coach in Home Farm. What do we do with that? Evicted. And despite that, and to his enormous credit, William is going to join us and help us to develop our trust going forward. So expect that to all take place. And thank you, both of you, for coming forward. So that will pump our trust up to full capacity, and the new trustees will deal with the issue of what's to be done with sales, because it's a big issue and a big opportunity. So we will be confronting that over the winter. There's a sort of a fallow period for a bit, and when we got a bit of a chance to get up and equal to it. So that is what is going to be happening, so this is a watershed moment, a change of pace a little bit, but Friends of King Alfred Buses is as strong as ever and will continue to do what it's been doing now for 39 years. And just think, in next year we'll be celebrating 40 years, and we haven't done so bad, have we? We've managed to find 14 King Alfred buses and make up a couple we couldn't actually get right in the first place. So, and I think, generally speaking, we cut above our weight. So, and that's all due to you, everybody in this room and people who are watching this elsewhere. Without you, all 217 of you, we would be nothing and nobody. So, thank you. Give yourselves, please, a round of applause. I think you should. Now, just before we move on to David, he's just been on the edge of his seat and now I've moved it yet again. Is there anything that anybody would like to ask? We're now outside the AGM, of course, so you're quite at liberty to ask anything you like, talk about anything you want. Is there anything that you'd like to raise in this meeting? We've got Chris.
James, can we have a quick commercial break?
Oh, yes.
Just to remind everybody that the 2025 calendars are now on sale. They cost £12.50, and King's Andrews has a stock down at the back of the room. So anybody who wants to get one, now's a good opportunity. It's £12.50 over the counter, but it has to be £15 by post because of the cost of postage.
Yes, postage is so cheap these days. So if you didn't get that, the calendar, £12.50, available from Keith in the dying embers of the sale activity, but as enthusiastic today as ever. Also on Keith's stand, as it were, is copies of the brochure for tomorrow. If you are an operating member of the team tomorrow, you're entitled to one of these for nothing, but otherwise we're hoping that they will raise lots of £6. So if you'd like one and pay £6 for it, we'd like to sell you one, because you know as well as I do that's how we raise our money. So we've got calendars and brochures on the market ready for your attention and interest.
We would really like exact money, especially for the programme,
yes,
which is £6.
We've got a fare box here. Now, Chris Drew, you had a question to ask.
Well, it's to do with the Olympics.
Hold on a minute, we've got a thing coming up to you.
When it was taken up to Northamptonshire, the difficulty of actually moving it into a position where it could be taken to the low loader not only looked exceedingly difficult from my point of view, but also quite dangerous, because there was somebody tugging with the lorry, but also a jack underneath which going directions it shouldn't really go. I wonder if there's any possibilities of, if everybody knows, of any sort of dolly wheel type things that could be fitted under each wheel, so that the whole thing would jack off the ground, even if only by a couple of inches, so that it could actually be moved by hand around the yard. Because you're going to get, I guess you're going to get to the point, if it does carry on, where you might want to turn it round and work on the side where there's more light. I don't know, but at the moment you need well, half of West Ham rugby teams are doing that.
Well, it's a very good question. It's driven, of course, by the fact that we are constrained for space, and so we have to have a vehicle like the Olympic, which is basically not mobile, squeezed into a corner, basically. And getting it out to go to Sywell was completely exceptional, and we don't propose to move it anytime soon. But you're quite right, if we are going to move it around, we need to think of something more durable and usable than the method that we adopted this time. But we are a necessity is the mother of invention here, and we will have to think of something that makes that simpler. And ideally, we would want the Olympic out of that corner and somewhere that is easier to manage. But at the moment, it's back in there and it's squared up, and there it will stay. But I mean, who knows how that's going to evolve? But I take the point. Yeah, thank you for mentioning. Anything else? Where we're at it, Chris.
James, can you tell us anything else about...
Hold on a minute. Alex wants to record this.
James, can you tell us anything else about how the trip to Sywell went, what sort of interest there was and feedback, etc.?
Thank you very much indeed. The trip to Sywell was kind of brought about by our approach to Buses magazine, where we said to them, if you remember, about 2009, there was a great appeal to bring RT1 back from the United States. And Buses magazine stood behind that appeal, and it raised something in the region of 250,000 quid, or I don't know, but that sort of number. And I thought it was worth approaching them and saying, you did that for RT1, how about doing that for the Olympic? And they said, yep, we would like to do that. And we'd be very happy to stand behind this project and support it all the way through if it goes all the way through. And perhaps the best way to launch it would be to actually bring it to the Buses Festival. We gulped, of course, but as you know, we did just that. We took it along. What was the effect? Well, it was the star of the show, without any doubt at all. And I think it's the first time anyone's brought a complete wreck to a rally. I mean, some of the buses you see do look like wrecks, but this was a total write-off compared to the others. And I think people were astonished to look at it. And we got a constant a barrage, really, of people looking at it. We got one chap sidled up to us and dropped 1,000 quid in notes into our pocket. That was quite nice. Has it created somebody come along and said, yeah, we clap our hands and make this happen? No, it hasn't. Has it helped our profile? Both our profile as FOCAB and our profile as people who are facing a very big challenge with this project? Yes, it has, without a doubt. Where it takes us, we are now really assessing. But was it worth doing it? I think it was. It was a big effort, but it certainly showed the world that yet again, FOCAB does things different. And that's what we're out to do all the time. And to keep our project in the public eye and people thinking about it. And I can tell you that wherever I go, people talk about the Olympic. It's just astonishing. It doesn't matter whether it's in my professional side or in the Greiser world. Everybody talks about the Olympic because it is an extraordinary challenge. And the thing about it is, it's what everyone fears. The thought that our precious, wonderful things get caught up in a huge fire and burnt to destruction. That is the greatest fear that all preservationists have. And there are people in this room who've done much worse than we have out of this particular fire. But nonetheless, the fact is that it does sort of go straight to people's minds, and that's the thing. So, yeah, I think that's where we are. So thousands of people have seen it, and we are yet to see what's going to come out of that, I think. But certainly in terms of the profile, I mean, you open up Buses magazine, just been delivered to my house today, and what's on the front page of it? But the Olympic. So you know, I don't know if that's an answer. Anything else? Right, okay, well, and thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, David and Stephen. Thank you to the other trustees. Thank you to all of you. We're now going to turn everything round and invite David Sheppard to come down to take the stage, as it were.